I'm Kate and this is my story. So the doctors at the Prince Charles Hospital actually met me before my mum did. I was rushed over here when I'd just been born because they identified that something wasn't quite right.
They did an echocardiogram and sent the results to Dorothy Radford, who was the head of the paediatric cardiology team. And she was at home with the flu. So she reviewed the results from home. By that afternoon, we knew exactly what was wrong.
I did have a hole in my heart. It was a hole between the top two chambers.
About 9 months old, I was at my mum's and we were there and Kate was in a stroller and all of a sudden went blue. My brother, who was 14 at the time, had just done CPR 2 weeks before at school. And he got her out because I was just a mess. Did CPR on her while the ambulance came. We were in Prince Charles for 3 months, so I stayed with her. I just slept on a mattress on the floor beside a cot. And that's when they picked up she had severe pulmonary hypertension. Kate was still in ICU, and the doctors, a Friday night, came down, her cardiologist and her surgeon, came and had a chat to us, my ex-husband and I. And David McGiffin, I can remember saying, look, they're not doing lung transplants yet, but who knows, in 5 years they might, because there was nothing to treat the pulmonary hypertension. And so I hung on to that.
I got sick quite a few times and that led to, starting to actually start medication for my heart. The topic of maybe one day needing a heart transplant came up, which was quite scary in itself, especially when I was so young at the time. I think I might have been like 14 or 15 when we first had that conversation. But then I got a few weird and random viruses that unfortunately then also led to weakening of my heart. I guess like almost a bit of a chain reaction, and then it started to trigger different things. And then, it was really, I got a glandular type virus and it led to my heart muscle really being weakened. And I ended up really quite unwell. And from there, my heart kind of really just didn't really recover the way it functioned. It was definitely deteriorated after that. And again, the pulmonary hypertension pressures increased again. And I actually came up just for a random outpatient appointment. And I ran into my cardiologist and he took one look at me and they rushed me in straight away, and I was in a full pulmonary hypertension crisis. And it was bittersweet at the time because it was like, oh God, finally there's answers to why I'm feeling this way. And they got me in straight away, and within 24 hours I was feeling better. But that was definitely a turning point. There
was still no treatments, and it wasn't until about 22 there was some trial drugs for pulmonary hypertension. At that stage, because it was trial, she had to mix up drugs and feed it into a cassette, into a feeding tube that was fed directly into a heart. It had to be done right on 24 hours. It was very nerve-wracking. She lived with that for a couple of years. That was really tough. So she's always had this little backpack she'd carry around. She was doing a 6-minute walk up the hospital, and I was waiting at the other end, and she'd wave to me, and being as competitive as she is, she'd be determined, I'm going to beat the last time, I'm going to show them. And she does that test with the physio, and she finished, and she waved to me each end and got back and just dropped like that in front of me, had a cardiac arrest. So then, the only option was transplant.
To get to transplant itself it's not just that you're unwell and you need a transplant, it's that you go through so many hurdles. And I love the fact that for years and years, for 27 years, they always had answers and opportunities and strategies to manage that. And then it unfortunately got to a point in time where it could no longer be treated through medication. I'd exhausted all those options. And then I had to be listed for the heart and double lung transplant.
I remember it vividly. It was a really wet night in the middle of winter. About 1:15 in the morning, I get a call from Kate. And very calm, she's just very calm, which amazed me. Said, Mum, they've got a donor.
And it truly is a better gift than I ever thought possible. It's really beautiful. And to have the opportunity to try all those things I always wanted to or watched on the sidelines. And to me, it's not about, necessarily listing off all the things I've done, because I've done some amazing things. It's just being fortunate enough to give them that opportunity. I think when you're born with a condition as well, and I was so sick for so long that I didn't actually realize how sick I was. And I actually didn't realize you can lie down in bed without being propped up. You can walk and talk at the same time. You can, for years I was on fluid restrictions. Now I can have all the bubble tea I want. It's amazing. It's all of life's ups and downs that you get to experience through transplant, not just oh, I crossed the finish line doing X, Y, and Z. It's the fact that like I get to go to work. Never take that for granted. Never. Like life can change so quickly.
Everyone's so impressed with Kate and how she's been and how she's conducted her life over the last 15 years. She's an inspiration, completing Ironman triathlons. You know, for anyone, that's an incredible accomplishment, but to do it with a heart-lung transplant is really unbelievable.
And even now, like if you think that when she was a baby, well, they weren't doing lung transplants then. I just always remember that. I just always hung on to that hope. I think I've instilled a bit of positivity into Kate, I think, because I think, no, you just never give up, never, ever.
Mum and I, our goal has always been, okay, just keep going that little bit longer until this medical advancement happens.
And it just amazes me still, like just everything they're working on. When you hear the research projects they're working on, it gives you a lot of hope. It really does. It's just incredible.
Everyone's going to be touched by something in their lives where they need that medical research.